chef of Found Kitchen, Stolp Island Social, the Barn Steakhouse in the Chicago area. Debbie, thank you for taking some time. I see you're at the restaurant right now.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you for having me on. Yeah.
All right. So real quick story, a little personal story for me with what's going on, because this is so personal for all of us. And so many of us are stuck at home or at the restaurant and at home. That's pretty much it. So I have been cooking, as everyone knows, slinging delis of bone broth and soup, anything I can do to support my community and make a couple bucks, because we got those 2 baby boys downstairs. And our next door neighbor moved out about 2 weeks ago. She is not renting her place. So last night I was until midnight cooking 5 gallons of bone broth and making Colorado green chili. So I'm excited to be able to cook, listening, as I told everyone, to Kitchen Confidential. So that's what's going on with me. Quick housekeeping. Remember, go to the Best Served Podcast Facebook page. Find that COVID-19 restaurant information thread. Lots of information continuing to feed. And as we have these episodes, I'm sure Debbie will have a couple sources for us, because she's been active in that space as well. And then the hashtag 86 coronavirus virtual tip campaign, the direct donation. Share that with your people. Get in there yourself. Put in your information, your Venmo, PayPal. And then we will turn around and ask of all of those donors whose nonprofits we've put millions and millions and millions of dollars into that system to kind of turn around and pay the hospitality back. Make sure you get on those 2 threads. All right, Debbie, Chicago area, Illinois, Ohio, the first 2 states, I think maybe 3-4 days ahead of Colorado, a lot of other states with shutting down restaurants. Take us back to those first moments where you realized shit is hitting the fan.
It's kind of scary. I remember, Amy Morton, the owner, was actually 2 weeks, about 2.5 weeks before that even happened. We started talking about what we're going to do. I mean, even before that happened, when you started to see the slowdown in business, we just decided that we were going to just start paring back the menu, and try to offer the best we could. But if we ran out of something that was maybe more of a starter or a not higher selling entree, that we were just not going to order more, that we were going to be a little bit more concise in what our menu was. Also pare back, unfortunately, as quickly as we could with staff. People, as the way it always goes when you have to tighten the belt, it's you have to let go more of the hourly, and those on salary have to take more onto themselves. My sous chef and I were working the line even before that all happened. We'd come in at 10 in the morning and we'd stay, work on the line and close down. And it was scary. You have to start thinking about all the people that you have to let go and going to happen. And also there's all the business stuff, can we do delivery, which we had talked about it. We weren't really with any company yet. How do we push to go more than dine in? You go back to the mechanics of building another performa on your P&L, and what's our break even? What can we afford? It was all that kind of stuff we were doing. Try not to order too much. That's kind of where everybody went. And then as a mom of 2, I was like, what are my kids doing? How are they doing?
Yeah.
They're both actually starting out in the business. And it's like, how is your restaurant doing? My one daughter just was traveling the world and had just come back to Kansas City. And I was like, what are you doing? And
wow,
crazy. So there's all sorts of balls in the air when that first happened.
Yeah, I understand that completely. So Chicago, definitely being early on and then having a really tight-knit chef community. I saw Rick Bayless put out some asks of the governor, and then nationally as well, very quickly. So a lot coming out of Chicago. There's a couple groups I've seen you posting in as well. What are the couple things top of mind as far as pushing legislation locally, statewide, nationally, that are kind of in the conversations that you're having right now?
A lot of it is not only the small business and the restaurants, how to preserve this huge network, nationally and internationally network of the small restaurants. But I also think it's become a little bit more personal because the restaurant hospitality industry employs so many people. It's
So many.
the everyday, oh my God, where's my next dollar coming from? I had an employee come in yesterday and said, my phone just cut off and I'm not sure I have the money to bring it back on. What do you guys think I should do? Is it important for me to have my phone? So I think it's really important that we're trying to figure out how we're going to help the individual people, like you were saying, these big corporations or people that have come to us personally and said, help me with my fundraising. How to give back to us, the people that are, in the fire, to, put a pun out there. But, we were hands-on and we employ so many people that we have to make sure they're taken care of during this time before we can open back up.
Yeah,
I'm also worried. We talked a little bit before we started about the loans, that they're getting us, and great. I love it that they're trying to find ways to give us money. But in my opinion, if you're going to bail out the airlines, and they're important also to stay in business, but so are all these small businesses. Restaurant industry, owning a restaurant or a small business, small profit margins. To take on another loan, and I don't care what the interest rate is, to take on another loan, it's going to be devastating for, I don't even know the percentage of businesses that won't be able to even afford that. And
the numbers are astronomical. You have 15.6 million people that work in food and beverage, hospitality, restaurants. Estimates right now are at 7 million of those are already unemployed, and the underemployed numbers, I'm sure, are astronomical too. They're just not completely out of work, basically, but nobody is getting paid what they're needing to get paid to survive right now. That's pretty clear. Yeah, there's 660,000 restaurants in this country, big number, and I'm scared that 100,000 plus won't be able to reopen, and 90% of those are independently owned.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing when you're talking about, great, a basement rate loan. Who cares? We're literally
it's another loan.
Another loan. Absolutely.
Like some people, that's the only way they started their businesses. A
Yeah.
lot of people, that's the only way they started the businesses. Oh, and one point, I wanted to bring up how people can support the workers in the restaurants. I think almost every business has started some sort of GoFundMe campaign for their staffs. There's people trying to offer like online cooking classes, selling T-shirts, hats, whatever you've got. And that money is for us to give back to our staffs, to still somehow support them. Because, our word to the staff here at Found, the Barn, and Stope Island is, we're going to get back up open. You're going to have your job back as quickly as we can give it to you. We're not going to be able to hire back every person that we put on furlough the minute we open the doors. But slowly, we need to bring people back to work. And until then, I would find whatever restaurant, your favorite restaurant, the neighborhood restaurant, go look on their websites for GoFundMe or, their Facebook pages, and donate to that so we can still figure out how to give some money to our staffs.
Yeah, and I know that now shelter in place has been instituted in Illinois, and I'm sure it's coming for every other state pretty quickly now. So
it better.
It's coming for sure. So shelter in place is happening, right? However, there is a opportunity for restaurants who are doing curbside to still be able to do that. Talk about that a little bit, how that lays out as far as you running curbside for your businesses.
Well, of course, when we heard that was the governor was going to put that in place, it was, the first thing is, do we get to still do our businesses? For what uh, little staff that we can maintain, it's healthy. So it's also a way for us independent restaurants to try to keep our businesses alive. So supporting everybody that's doing curbside is really, really important. And the other aspect of being able to do that is another big topic is the mental health of everybody going through this. If there's that little glimmer that, okay, my restaurant is still doing curbside, um, that we are seriously trying to keep alive and will reopen when we can reopen and hopefully give people their jobs back. The mental health aspect of all the stuff that's going on with staff is it's really hard and sad. And um, you know I think I saw online where they're doing the virtual bartender. I think there's got to be a way to virtually get people talking, your staff talking to other staff members in other restaurants, in their own, of course, but in other restaurants, other than maybe all the groups that have popped up, which are great. But knowing that you're not the only one going through this, that you're by yourself, and everybody's wondering where, am I going to go bankrupt because I have to dig into whatever savings I do or don't have? And if you don't have savings, where's your next meal coming from? This whole thing of not paying or deferring rent or deferring mortgages, or maybe even not deferring rent. Maybe the landlords, it's all got to ripple down. It's all a domino. We all have to be talking.
Yeah, I've actually even suggested to a couple restaurants and or individuals to create Google Hangouts
Yep.
or Zoom groups to be able to not just communicate with each other. I tell somebody like literally on Sunday, have Sunday brunch and you be on there and have people on there and get them to curbside pick up your food and now alcohol as well, and have mimosas and Bloody Marys from you and your fried chicken and waffles, and then be able to feel the high touch hospitality that sometimes gets lost when you just have a to-go box of your food, right? And that's potentially what you can create with something like that. So I've been suggesting things like that. You just need to start over again. Like you need to build the small little nucleus of your community again. And that's a really, really big challenge. But
stay together. That's really important, I think. And the other worry that I have is, a lot of cooks tend to be in their 20s, and I've seen some people that really don't understand that you can still get the virus in your 20s. It's kind of, they say to be careful of, the babies and elderly. I just think that knowing that in your 20s and your 30s you can still get the virus, it's just that your immune system is better at fighting it. That's the only difference. So I think that's another issue that needs to be addressed. I have still my contacts in Kansas City. I actually have one of my daughters living there, and they haven't quite gotten to where Chicago is. And like you said, Chicago's been somewhat on the forefront of all of this, but everybody's got to know it's real and it's out there. And the whole 20s thing, look at that, what went on in Florida with the spring break. I just wanted to.
I was just about to say, don't go on fucking spring break to Florida right now, people. Like it's real. And you may not be at high risk of death from this virus, but I guarantee somebody in your immediate circles potentially is, and you're putting them at a higher risk
Yeah,
as well.
or in contact with somebody that is. So I wanted to, I read some of the articles and it's like, well, we just planned this for so long. I wasn't going to give up my spring break. It's like, go next year. It's not like
Yeah.
it's never going to happen again. It's just not this year.
Yeah, easy, bro. You'll be okay. Like, I'm with you there. It's been hard, even just going to the store myself. I'm trying to isolate the amount of time I'm spending out there, being really smart, like taking all of my ServSafe sanitation out into the world
Yeah,
has actually
right.
served me pretty well. I see people wearing gloves at the supermarket and things. I was like, I bet you've been wearing that pair of gloves all day. You should change your gloves out. That does not mean that
Yep.
you're safe. We've been telling cooks that for years, so we get it. And
Yeah,
it's been
me
hard.
too.
I'm like wearing, I don't have a mask, but I'm wearing like a gaiter, and
Yeah.
mostly just so I don't
Get
touch
off.
my face. Mostly just so
Right.
I don't touch my face. Not that it's going to stop anything from going in or out. However, it's just like I am such a people person that like I'm barely making eye contact with people and like avoiding them. It just feels really, really weird.
Well,
Like,
when you
hard.
can't touch your face, your nose always itches, or you always feel
Always.
like there's something on your face.
Well, and I got the big French schnoz, so this thing is always out there, So I wanted to segue into just a little bit of positivity. Maybe there's some sad stories here as well, but I saw the video that you posted of just having laid out provisions for staff, and I've seen this a lot, and I'm absolutely in love with it. You brought in your staff to basically take prep. I saw partial bottles of wine, all kinds of stuff. Talk about what that was like and why that was important to you and to Amy.
It's important, again, to take care of our staffs and to know that we care. And, for me, even in my own house, I hated food going to waste, throwing food away. I don't know how many times I lectured my kids when they were younger that, you asked me to buy this, I bought it, and then you didn't eat it, and now I'm throwing it away. It's just really hard to waste that way. And so bringing them in, knowing that, hey, we still care about you. We also gave everybody a roll of toilet paper because we all know how we all need that going through this. Number one important thing to have in your house. A bottle of wine, because that is actually important.
Yeah.
To get through this. And then whatever food, we could give them. And we are doing the curbside, so there's a balance of, well, I can sell this and keep in business if I keep this, but there was just way too much stuff. I mean, it really did come quickly, and for a lot of people, it was about stocking up for the weekend, because it hit like on a weekend, and a lot of people were really just getting ready to go in it. Then give it to your staff. I mean, make sure everybody's around. And then I'll tell you, the next thing that's really going to be important is, donating to community kitchens, donating to people trying to do school lunches, because a lot of kids were on a federally program and they were only really getting a couple meals at school. So I think it's important not to forget those. And I just try not to waste everything. The farmers are still growing stuff. I'm still getting, emails and texts from my farmers that they still have product. We just have to take care of each other. Just, you're cooking and you're selling to people around. There are still a lot of people that don't cook for themselves. So
They're going to have to start to. They're going to have to figure it out for sure.
Or we'll call Jensen and say, hey, give me some of your bone broth.
I know it, right? It's anything you can do. What's really interesting, I'll just tell you, and people have already heard this story, but they're going to hear it again, is 2.5 weeks ago now, Betsy saw a coronavirus newscast, and they're talking about having storage of food, and she asked me, do we have 2 weeks worth of food? And I was like, girl, we got a month and a half worth of food. Like, why? I was like, oh, that's something they're talking about. And she said, could we do that for other families? And I said, absolutely. So we started making bone broth and a few things just to give them out to the neighbors a little bit and get them to some of our friends and family. Just be like, we're here to get your gut health up and support you and all that.
We're about to do that as well. We're going to kind of put together a pantry for people. And, you know, the do-it-yourself kits, we'll still do the to-go normal, but we're going to do do-it-yourself kits. We're going to do pantry, like make the bone broth. And even, you know what? I've got a bunch of dairy that I'm turning into ice cream right now. Sell a pint of ice cream or, you know.
We even did that. Betsy's like, is it bad that I just want a lot of ice cream? I was like, go buy a bunch of ice cream. Like you need to feel good in this moment. Don't feel like you're being bougie because you're going to get ice cream. Like you just need some time to be able to have that moment of levity and joy. Don't feel guilty about that.
Yeah, you know, I did that too a few weeks ago, or about a week ago now. Now I stocked up and stuff and got ice cream and a little like guilty pleasure going back to my childhood. I love Tootsie Rolls. I bought a big old thing.
All right.
So that's there.
That's perfect. I remember in your show notes, you always have chocolate on hand. So
yeah, I have that as well.
Good. Well. Glad to hear it. So one thing I want to touch on when we were talking about your staff, it was interesting, and I want this to come from you because I know how unbelievably much your staff means to you. In your episode, which everybody, this morning, Debbie Gold's full episode on Best Served Podcast went live. So go to our website, bestservedpodcast.com or Best Served Podcast, wherever you get your podcast. We talked about family meal, and that was something I remember from when I was 23 working for you at 40 Sardines. And so I know it's not just something that you do obligatorily. You really believe in it. Now, I want to touch on that with staff. You're bringing your staff in. You're trying to keep some people employed, but you did lay off a lot of people. There is some anxiety and animosity brewing with staff saying, oh, it's great that you're doing curbside or buying gift cards from this restaurant, but that doesn't help me. I'm out of work. What do you kind of say to that a little bit? Because I know that's something that you're having to deal with, and you come from such a good place that I feel like you'd have a good response to that.
You know, it's everybody's had to make hard decisions. Owners, managers, chefs, we've all had to make really hard decisions, and nobody's taking any decisions lightly. I remember the first guy that I had to tell I was going to take him off the schedule. You just really have no choice. And, you know, as we're all or not all, but a lot of us are independent owners or entrepreneurs, or even, you know, doing the consulting and stuff. It's about figuring out how to keep that spark that we are going to get past this, that we are and want to get open. And we're doing everything that we can. I mean, I think that's kind of one reason everybody kind of did that GoFundMe campaign for their staffs. Other than, you know, don't know that gut-wrenching thing that happens inside when you're an owner and you have to let people go. And I don't know how else to say it. It's just really hard.
Yeah, it's brutal. Here's something I'm going to throw out there that I had some conversations with yesterday. Maybe this is something that affects you and others. So with all the GoFundMe pages out there, with all the different ways that we're trying to support people, there's just a lot going on, a lot of white noise, and it's really hard to cut through and actually get people to kind of support on a small individual basis. And so what I told an owner operator is like, you need to go for curbside. If you want to get to people, doing a blast on social media is just very hard to cut through all that noise. And so I was like, go into your database, find the 50, 100, 200 people that actually give a shit about you and your business. And you go directly to them and tell them a story about the first time they came in your restaurant and tried uni or had a bottle of Riesling or whatever. Connect to them on a personal level.
Engaged in your restaurant or even married in your restaurant. or yeah.
That's the conversation you need to have to actually build that small nucleus of community out again. Because if you're just e-blasting and everyone's getting blasted left and right. And so that's what I'm really encouraging people to do. One-on-one, hand-to-hand, personal stories. Don't sell right now. Ask. And I also think getting staff involved, there's an opportunity. What I would do is reach out to staff, be like, hey, tell me about your top 10 regulars, or tell me about some people that, matter, and have them write a paragraph about that person, send that to that person, get that person to actually commit to buying, purchasing, and then incentivize that staff member who may be completely off staff, be like, hey, maybe those 10 people spend $300 and we can give you some of that money. So there's little creative ways like that I'm hoping people can take on board.
Yeah, there's also sort of the bigger picture kind of things. There's a change.org petition going around that really helps focus on the restaurant industry, that people can sign that petition. I know like the James Beard Foundation is a huge supporter of the industry, and they've got a donation page. There's a lot of places, and I know there's got to be 10 dozen other bigger organizations that you trust to donate your money. And like I said, the advocacy part of it, call the senators, call your congressman. There's ways of helping if you don't have the money to do it. So I not helping is not an option.
Yeah, you have your effort, and right now you have time. So I think deploying that in your voice, I think is going to make a lot of sense. All right, give us a little bit of something that we can spend some of our downtime on. I mentioned I'm listening to Anthony Bourdain, Kitchen Confidential. Right now, he just got done at the Rainbow Room, and so he's in the knee deep in the depravity of the industry, and it's got a smile on my face. And so, tell us a couple things maybe that you're listening to, books that you're reading, anything you're doing to decompress a little bit.
A lot of it is just staying off my feet. In this business, we work like crazy hours. So just being able to hang out on the couch and binge watch. Okay, so some silly stuff is like watching Gilmore Girls from start to end again. Or like I just actually started to watch New Girl. My daughter and I started The Office, and watching The Office from start to finish.
American or British?
Well, American. I haven't seen the British yet, but you know what? I've got time now. So
yeah.
But there's other things. There's like what's it called? The Hunter. It's one of the newer things about like back in the 70s. It's a group of people going after Nazi past Nazi people. There's and then just chilling out, and usually I just hit like somebody's playlist that I like. A lot of the 90s music. I like, sometimes I'm in the mood for the 70s music, or I like alt rock, so I listen to a lot of that. And then sit there and go back and read some of my old cookbooks. So
I like it. Gilmore Girls and Tootsie Rolls sounds like an amazing way to decompress. Debbie, thank you so much.
Rappers all over the place.
I absolutely love it. It was great a couple weeks ago getting to hear your voice and get you on the podcast again. People go listen to that. Amazing. And now even better to see you. Good luck to you and your people, and keep that positive attitude going. I appreciate it, and we all do.
Same to you. It was great to reconnect, and everybody stay healthy. 6 feet distance, social distance. Yes.
All right. Cheers.
Bye.
All right. Debbie Gold. Yeah. Working for Debbie when I was 23 years old. Amazing. Was one of the heaviest, most intense stations I've ever worked, was her fish station. And we reminisce about that and joke about that a little bit. I barely fit in that kitchen being 6'2". So a lot of fun. Listen to that episode, and Again, I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak for everybody, with everybody. And this is really fueling me. The boys, like you can see, on this side, one of the boys put up their swim goggles, and it's just been a lot of fun to be able to interact with everybody, keep this real-time thing going. But do go listen to Debbie's episode. She talks a lot about family meal, one of the most important things, and I think we need that more than ever right now. And so thank you for watching today's show. As I mentioned, this random goof of the wall behind me is now becoming an integral part of the show. Get my hat on for the day. Tender belly. Oh, their bacon makes me happy, and I need it badly right now for sure. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you tomorrow when I'm talking with Christian Battizi, the owner-operator of The Lobby in downtown Denver, Colorado. Thanks, everybody. Be safe out there.